Hello and welcome to TalksALot. This is going to be the show where I talk about the things that are not entertainment related, but not news. While we were on Yelling at Parked UFOs, 32 Flavors of Nickweiser brought up the fact that he didn't quite understand why Caitlyn Jenner would be against having transgender males in female sports. Now, I didn't weigh in on this because I just have to start working on interrupting people more often, I guess. I don't know, but anyway, I think I actually have the answer to that, and it's somewhat controversial, so stay with me, okay? Caitlyn Jenner is an actual transgender individual. Now, what this means is that Caitlyn Jenner didn't feel correct as a man, so she transitioned over to being a woman. Now, a lot of people will call that a mental disorder or whatever, but Caitlyn Jenner didn't do that for the attention that it would bring or for special treatment for status or anything like that, but because it made her feel more like herself, more complete. And as a psychologist, as a clinical psychologist who's had training in counseling and various other areas of psychology, I can say that that's actually a good thing. That she didn't feel right as a man, so she transitioned and made the steps to become a female, so she could physically represent who she was on the inside. That is an actual transgender. Now, when you make these changes so you can gain an advantage in sports or get special recognition or something like that, or especially just to get attention on social media, as much as people don't like hearing this is actually a mental disorder called gender dysphoria. Now, I know this term's been thrown around a lot and people are transphobic, blah, 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 throwing all the buzzwords out there or whatever, but when it comes down to it, the people who do it for attention, as we're seeing a lot of them who actually went through with reassignment are now wishing to go back, those individuals have a gender dysphoric disorder. Now, they need to seek treatment to figure out what salient issues are preventing them from either recognizing that they can be comfortable in their own identity or coming around to actually going through with the transition. Now, the reason so many people have a problem with the recognition that there's only two genders is the fact that all of the people that are screaming about this suffer from either a form of gender dysphoric disorder or a histrionic disorder to where they know that this will get them attention, even if it's not good attention, the attention that they're looking for, and the reason Caitlyn Jenner is against, this is speculation, of course, but the reason Caitlyn Jenner is against transgender men going into female sports is because she still recognizes that the male anatomy that increases muscle size, power, and stuff like that is still there. Just because you may take some different hormones and stuff doesn't mean you don't still have the physical capabilities of a man, even though you are a woman. The reason that I think that this is important is because it shows that Caitlyn Jenner is an actual example of what transgender people should be. Because Caitlyn Jenner is independent, doesn't really care what anyone else has to say about the choices that she made, and trying to make herself feel more like a complete human being in whatever way that she felt necessary. I harp on the 32 flavors of gender fluid, but when it comes down to actual transgender people, I do support them because I'm a psychologist, I'm a counselor, I have programmed myself not to hold my biases against anybody. I mean, I think everyone should be comfortable in their own skin, but because it's easier said than done, there's certain things in today's society you have to learn to live with and let go and accept and become tolerant of, and that's what actual society should be about. But the lot of people that are out there about transgender rights need to focus on the fact that there's two genders, and that if you make the transition, you still have the rights of a human being. It's pushing the rights beyond what should actually be allowable for human behavior. That is the problem. Let's be real. Because when it comes down to it, Caitlyn Jenner made the full process of being transgender. So now she's female. Biologically speaking, I guess. I'm still confused on the actual medical classification of it. I'm not a doctor. I don't pretend to be a doctor. I don't understand all of that stuff. But I do understand that on a psychological level, that the people who are screaming for the recognition of more than just the two genders, to me, would benefit more from counseling than protesting. And I don't say that as a dig. I say that as, like, everybody in the world could benefit from counseling. Trust me. I believe that everyone needs some counseling. But when it starts causing such a marked distress in your own mind that you need to be accepted for every little bit that exists within you, it's bad for everybody involved, because it's a lack of responsibility. It's a lack of growth as a person. It's a lack of identity. I mean, you can say that you are whatever you want to be these days, but it doesn't change the fact that science, biology, creation, whatever, has made it to where there are only two. And yes, we can, there's only two, but you can switch between them if that's what you personally want to do. But you shouldn't expect any special treatment just because you went through that process. And in my mind, Caitlyn Jenner hasn't actually looked for any extra attention, and she is bringing to awareness the actual problem that lies in the false transgender communities that exist, the ones that would benefit from counseling more than reassignment or recognition. And I'm not saying, cure it like some dumbass back in the 70s that wants to, like, cure the gay, because you can't, that's not how things work. It's not. But there are certain things that counseling improves over the bending of wills. And that's, impulse control, critical thinking, internal emotional support, not relying on a bunch of other people to validate what you feel. Independence while maintaining togetherness is something that normal people do. We don't need to enmesh with other people that's a different conversation for a different time. Anyway, I'm going to call it there. I will catch you guys next time on TalksALot. Thank you very much for joining. Like, subscribe, and share. And as always, have a wonderful day.